Hello, I'm Jake with Sprouting Spoons, and we are working on moving all of our classes onto the online platform right now. And I don't know about you, but right now, during all these uncertain times, I find myself just craving comfort food. And I can't think of anything more comforting than risotto. And for that, we're going to be using 2 portobello mushrooms, butter, rosemary, parsley. We're going to be using half an onion, a little bit more than 3 cups of chicken stock, 1 cup of arborio or carnaroli rice, and about half a cup of Parmesan grated. So for our mushrooms, we're going to take a damp paper towel and just rub the top. And this will remove any excess dirt and clean our mushrooms for sauteing. Some people like to rinse their mushrooms, but that can cause them to absorb lots of water and cause them to sputter in the pan. And then after you have it nice and wiped, we're going to take the stem out because it's a little woodier and put it stem side down. We'll then take our knife and give it about 3 or 4, depending on the size, slices across to create these nice large strips. And then we'll go the other direction and create nice chunks of mushrooms. These will cook down a little bit while we cook, so you don't want them to be super tiny, but we do want them in there for a texture. Next, we're going to chop up our onion. You'll notice that it has a stem side and a root side. The root side keeps our onion completely together, and we need to keep that slightly intact, so we're just going to take off a little bit of that, remove that, and then on our stem side, we can chop off a little bit more and create a nice large flat surface that will keep our onion from rolling around. We'll take our knife and cut straight from the top to the bottom, from the root side to the stem side, and then remove the outer layer of the onion. I usually take off a lot more than we need to, and that's just so that I have a nice flat smooth surface available. And you'll notice in our onion that we have little ribs. We're going to follow those around with the tip of our knife to create nice, even slices. You'll notice that I'm not cutting all the way through the onion. I'm leaving that root end intact so that the onion stays nice and together if I move it around. Then I'm going to turn the onion and slice against what I just cut and create a nice little dice. So we're going to start with melted butter in the bottom of the pan. You want a couple tablespoons, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to add in our mushrooms. Mushrooms are a great source of vitamins and minerals that are great to help with your muscles and bones. So you'll want to cook your mushrooms for about 3 to 5 minutes before you really start touching them too much. You'll notice that they'll start to turn a little bit translucent and the steam will be rolling off of them pretty well. What you're hoping for is to get nice color on the back side like we have here. If you can see that really well or not, I don't really know. You don't want to stir them too much together or else they'll start reabsorbing some of this steam and they'll get soft. What you're looking for is just a little bit more color to develop, so more color, more flavor. After about another 5 or so minutes, your mushrooms should be nice and brown like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove half of them for later because we don't want them to reabsorb a lot of liquid and ruin that nice texture you've got going on. And then we're going to add in our half an onion. And about a teaspoon of rosemary. And just a pinch of salt and pepper. We're going to cook our onions until they get nice and tender and start to develop just a little bit of color. Then we're going to add in our arborio rice. We're going to use arborio rice because it's a shorter grain rice, and so it has a lot more starch in it, and that's going to allow it to get nice and creamy on us. We're going to just let the rice cook just a little bit. That's going to increase the natural nuttiness of the grain, and it's also going to allow it to start to want to take in all the extra water. Once your rice has started to turn a little bit more translucent, you're going to add about a third of your total liquid. So it's going to be 1 cup of chicken stock. If it's a little bit more or a little less, that's alright. It's all going to end up in there anyways. And then you're just going to stir it so you have a nice little pool, so everything's sort of swimming a little bit. You're going to want to make sure you rub the bottom of the pan to try to get up any of that, those little bits that stuck to the bottom. That's all going to be flavor that's going to make everything a little bit happier. You're going to cook your rice over medium-low heat for about 3 to 5 minutes until all of the liquid has been mostly absorbed. So once most all of your chicken stock or vegetable stock has been absorbed, and you can tell this by just moving it around and it'll not have much liquid left, you're going to add the 1 more cup of chicken stock into the pan, and that's going to cook again until it's mostly all absorbed. You're going to notice that this time it's going to not quite all go into the rice. It's going to stay a little bit more as a sauce, and that's a good thing. And creamy that's already starting to get. We're going to add in our last third of a cup of chicken stock, and we're going to mix that around and let it cook one more time. But this time you want to leave a little bit of liquid in there. And what you're looking for is the rice to be nice and what they call al dente, which literally means to the tooth. And that just means that it has a little bit of bite to it, but it's not going to be crunchy or completely mushy. So while you're cooking, if you notice that your rice is not quite done yet, but all your liquid's gone, you can absolutely add just a little bit more liquid, less is more in this case, and just continue cooking on a low heat until it's already absorbed everything and your rice is nice and tender. And once you have just a light little broth still available, but not too much, you can turn off your heat and add in your half cup of cheese and just about a teaspoon of parsley or so, and that'll brighten it up just a little bit. And what we'll do is just stir it in and get it nice and creamy with that as that cheese melts. Once that gets all stirred together, oh, that smells really good. We'll take and put just a little bit in our bowl, like so, and then just top it with a few of our mushrooms that we took out at the very beginning, and that'll give it a nice little visible appeal and some crunch. Thank you for joining us while we make some delicious mushroom risotto. We'll see you next time.